So now we have our last presentation, MUVE by Elysia, Victoria, Maya, and Urvashi.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're delighted that you're here with us today. So my name is Elysia, this is Victoria. To my right is Maya, and to your far left is Urvashi. Together, we have developed a system called MUVE. It is basically a web tool that digitizes books. So I want to start off by asking you all, who here owns an iPad or any form of ebook reader? Just show of hands. Okay, almost all of us raised our hands, or a fair amount of us. Many of us here in the Santa Clara community do have the luxury to own such devices, which support many functionalities and applications that make our lives much easier. However, in some rural communities and countries, such as those in India, this is not the case. What they do have in these developing communities is what's called a feature phone. A feature phone is a very simple phone that supports basic functionality, such as texting, calling, viewing your calendar, or browsing basic information on the web. Feature phones are affordable and very popular in developing communities. We've learned more about it through Radha. She is the director of SCU's Frugal Innovation Lab, and she's seated right there in the back. Through her, the Frugal Innovation Lab focuses on developing sustainable technologies for underserved communities. Radha started a nonprofit called Anudip. It's based in India, and it focuses on training women in IT skills in rural India. Radha also started iMerit, which is a sister company of Anudip. iMerit focuses more on employing these women trained by Anudip and providing IT services to different clients. We are very grateful to be working with Radha and her partners, and through them, we have learned about very key information that's crucial to our project. First of all, we've learned that feature phones are very commonly used in rural India. We also learned that many schools in rural India have very outdated textbooks. This means that there is a need for better education. Lastly, we also found that there is a high demand and desire for jobs among women across rural India. With all of this in mind, I would like to introduce our tool called MUVE, which addresses these three things. How MUVE works is that when a user is logged into our system, they would take printed text, type those texts into our editor called MUVE. MUVE would then convert that text into a format readable on feature phones. Our project has two main parts, the first of which I just covered. It basically is designed for use on a desktop and covers more of the conversion aspect of our project. And our group has focused all our efforts on this first part. The second part of it deals mainly with being able to view that text on feature phones. And this will be carried out by another computer engineer over the summer. MUVE will be used by Anudip, or by women trained by Anudip and employed by iMerit. So iMerit has very good relationships with publishers who are in need of digitizing copyrighted books. iMerit also has the employees who will be typing the text into our editor MUVE to create digitized version of text readable online and on these feature phones. With this in mind, we have a two-pronged goal. We want to promote education in rural communities and villages in India, such as those in and around Calcutta, such as Mitrapur, and in a village called Ranchi. We also want to promote jobs for those women employed by iMerit and trained in IT skills. Last July, the Indian Labor Bureau said that around 73% of all men are working. In contrast, only around 18% of all women are working. That leaves a good 82% of women unemployed in India. Most of the jobs that are offered in India are offered outside the communities that Anudip targets, which means that this excludes women who have to stay in rural villages for religious and cultural reasons. Ultimately, our tool will hopefully provide better access to online books and resources through feature phones, thereby promoting better education. We also hope that our tool will provide more jobs for those women through employment with Anudip and iMerit. Now that I've covered some of the general information about our system, I'm going to pass it over to Maya, who will go into more of the details.
Great. So our system satisfies two kinds of requirements, functional and non-functional requirements.
Functional requirements describe what a system does and what it should perform. First, our system has certain security features, such as secure hosting and protection against database attacks, for example, SQL injection attacks. Our system also is compatible with low bandwidth connections. Our system allows 4 user types to access the system. And lastly, it converts a text file into XML, which we'll go into more detail about that later. For non-functional requirements, which are more like qualities or goals of a system, we had to keep these things in mind when we were designing our site. First, we thought about maintenance. We wanted to make our site easy to maintain and set up. We also kept usability in mind when we wanted to make our site user-friendly, so simple, clean, and sleek. We also made our tool scalable for both the organization of Anudip and iMerit, who will be entering a lot of text and a lot of data into the site and digitizing many books. Lastly, our system easily enables employees to easily manage their previous work. So when we were designing our system, we had several constraints. So here's a look at some of the things we were working with this year. First, we had to use existing employee usernames for login to our system from Anudip and iMerit. Second, we needed to integrate the database schema of iMerit, and how they organize their information is how we wanted to organize ours. Third, we needed our system to be compatible with all the major browsers. Lastly, our system functions on the Anudip and iMerit server platforms. So the requirement that most shaped our system design was definitely the difference in the users accessing the system. We have 4 users within our system. First, we have the admin, the project lead, the quality lead, and the editor. From left to right, they're listed here with most functionality to least. So here's a more detailed visual of how the user capabilities are laid out. On the top of this chart, you'll see the 6 major modules or major functions within our site. We have create, assign, search, manage, edit, and track. We can start with our most basic user, who is the editor. The editor needs to enter text into the site to digitize the book and track her work. The quality lead can check for spelling errors and grammar errors in the editor's work, and also search for many projects she's assigned to. The project lead is responsible for assigning a quality lead and an editor to a project and managing those users and those employees. Finally, the admin has full functionality within our site and is the person responsible for creating the projects and managing the entire system. So here's a closer look at how an admin would move or flow through our system. First, an admin needs to receive some sort of printed text or literature that she wants to digitize. So she will create a project within our system. That project has certain information associated with it, for example, the author or the title of the book, and later the chapter text will be added in our system. Second, she needs to assign people to carry out the work for that project, like the quality leads and the editors. Then she can search for the project. She can manage the users on the project by editing their roles. For example, if she wants to give an editor a promotion to quality lead, she can do that. Lastly, or second to last, she can edit the project herself and actually enter in chapter text. Then she can track the progress as it's moving towards completion, and finally download the finished file. So we gave the admin full functionality and access to all of the modules within our site, so that if she needs to, she can take a project completely from start to finish in the case of smaller projects that maybe require less employees. So now that you know kind of who is working with the site, Urvashi is going to describe the back end of how our system works.
So here's a list of the languages and the softwares we use